Hey, Gemini, Mel, intuitive coach here, excited to bring in your July 2025 monthly reading. If you are interested in a personal reading, signing up for the monthly newsletter, or entering into the free reading giveaway, you can find all of that information in the description box below the video. All right, welcome. Gemini, bottom of the deck, you have the Wheel of Fortune. Now, we are at the midpoint of 2025. We are in the heart of the year, Cancer season. So I definitely feel like there are big changes showing up for all of us on a collective level as well. And this is really a month to explore your emotional side here. Take a look at how you're feeling about certain situations. And you're going to see that there are changes showing up in probably more than one area of your life. So let's dive in here for you, Gemini. Now, I am getting here physical therapy. Some of you could be getting physical therapy on a wound or recovering from maybe some form of surgery here. So please take that as it resonates, but it does feel like if that's already taking place, if you're already in PT, I feel like you will see improvements, okay? There's something with improvements in the body. Maybe fitness is on your mind or health is on, your focus here, but it feels like there's some healing going on, and that's actually one of your key themes showing up for the month. You have healing, which is about recovery. It is about closure. So this can be emotional healing that is taking place. It can be physical healing and even mental healing as well. It's time to tell a new story of you overcoming some of these obstacles or challenges that you've gone through, because the 10 of Swords here tells me that you have gone through a bit of a loss, right? Some of you is a very big loss, a very challenging moment in your life. And for others of you, I feel like this was something that had been ongoing, like you've had to slowly try to let go of or surrender to in some way. And I feel like you are opening the door to a brand new beginning. And that's why the change is showing up. And what this brand new beginning means is you are wiser, you are more mature, and you've evolved. You have evolved and you have support around you, Gemini. It may not feel like that at times, but I feel like there's a new support system coming in or a strengthening of an existing support system. Some of you, these are going to be professionals, okay? Professional support such as therapy or again, PT, doctors, nurses. It can be working with healers, coaches, and mentors. People who can get you back to feeling at your best. Now, you have the teamwork. I mean, this is that support. So teamwork, making the dream work. There's also a family dynamic playing out here. I mean, some of you could be building like a family business, or you could be collaborating with your soul tribe, and maybe even planning travel, planning a vacation here, because it feels like people are coming together for a greater cause, or coming together to celebrate. Perhaps this is a win, this is a high five, like, yes, we did it. And maybe even like an anniversary here, or completing of a project, completing of a task. This is support, and you have that word showing up twice. You have helping hand, team projects, and group efforts. So it does feel like something here is coming together, or you may find that someone wants to give you a hand, or when you ask for help, they are willing. There is a sense of willingness here, and I feel like it's important not to let pride or ego, reject some sort of support or help. Now you also have career. So career or maybe even finances could be on the forefront for you in the month of July. A lot of you are climbing the ladder. You could even be working from home or building or creating like a home-based business. Maybe you can work from anywhere in the world, because I am actually getting the Wanderlust card that's in this deck. It's not out here on the table, but I'm seeing it in my mind's eye. And for some of you, it feels like either technology or you could work from different locations. Maybe you're traveling, but you're able to do some work while you travel, or it could even be you're contemplating maybe making a move. This could be a physical move. You want to relocate your home or your career in some way. Maybe there is a transfer, maybe transfer of like departments. This is advancement, job change, promotion, side hustle, and bonuses. So if you feel like you are not getting back or getting out what you have put in, it feels like that's what's changing. That's what's shifting here for you. So there could be a door that's closing in your career. It could be an old thought process that has kept you limited. It could literally be, closing out of that chapter of your life. Some of you could be retiring, or perhaps you are moving towards a new company, a new job, or, a new side business that really starts to advance and grow. So it feels like you are in the right mindset here, or you're getting into a better mindset about your future, about where you're going. Spirit is saying you're considering your moves, considering making a move here. And it has to do with the mind and the emotions and the action. It has to do with you backing something up here that you want and that you deserve. And I also am getting soul alignment. So something is showing up here, and I feel like it's already here for you, Gemini. Something is already here for you that is calling you or aligned with your soul. This is a contract, potentially a contract with, a partnership. It could be a soul contract that has you exploring your spiritual gifts, right? Being of service to the world in some way. It does feel like it's a soul contract, but it could affect any area of your life, and possibly multiple areas with that Wheel of Fortune, because this is destined, right? A destined event or a destined change or shift is happening now that could have you in a completely different relationship, job. It could be a body even by the end of the year. I mean, that's what's coming in, and it's coming in strong. So we also have Animal Kingdom at the bottom of the deck. Some of you could even be getting a new animal, all right, a new pet to join your family. Some of you have a pet that's crossed over that could be showing up in dreams, or showing up in your visions, your meditations here, or leaving you signs that they are still with you. You may be a strong animal lover. Gemini, I'm actually getting here chickens. Is someone on a farm? Maybe someone grew up on a farm, or you have chickens. I'm getting like fresh eggs, someone collecting the eggs here. Emotional support pet. Some of you could be getting a pet like certified. Maybe this has to do with like living arrangements, a living situation. You could have even like a service animal here. Maybe that's part of what I was getting with the health or recovery. You may have a service animal or even an emotional support pet to help you through a situation here. Or if it's something you've contemplated, this is your yes. I feel like this is Spirit saying yes, bring in change, invite change. It comes through in the form of the Animal Kingdom. This is about unconditional love and companionship. And another message I'm getting here is you may be seeing animals in the great outdoors that you are being asked to pay attention to. They're actually showing me here the hummingbird. Now, a hummingbird actually visits over 1,000 flowers a day. So it may feel at times like you have a lot going on. They're very high frequency, high energy. You may have, your finger in many different pots, as they say, but be sure that you are staying grounded here, keeping your vibration high, but also nurturing, supporting, and loving yourself, okay? Animals are very psychic, right? Animals tune into energies that sometimes we are too distracted to tune into. And so if you have a pet, you could be receiving healing information from that pet. So for example, you have that cat who lays on your chest, right? There could be some heart chakra healing. You may have a dog that is constantly licking your hands. Maybe some of you have arthritis, right? It feels like there's an animal that is trying to get your attention, whether in the wild or domesticated. Pay attention to the animal kingdom. and chickens. Okay, chickens are coming up here. So let's take a look and see what is coming through with the tarot card. Six of Cups, your first card out here. This is past energies. It can be nostalgia. Yes, it's passion as well. But the Six of Cups is possibly a second chance to either reconnect, maybe with a past person, a past individual, but most likely here it's connecting to maybe a childhood dream. This could be something that really lit you up, something that excited you in some way. Now, I feel like a lot of you are yearning in a way for the good old days, maybe when times were simpler. Maybe that chicken on the farm was where you grew up and it felt like life was simple back then. And now you have, you're fluttering to 1,000 different flowers. Maybe it feels very busy. Life has felt complicated. And you haven't had a lot of time to explore some of your passions here or your childhood dreams. Now, for others of you, I am getting a very specific message. Please take it as it resonates. Because we have the Five of Pentacles here and the Ten of Swords, there may have been a loss of a loved one that you grew up with. Okay, whether this is a family member, it could be a sibling, it could even be, you've heard of maybe someone that was very close to your heart at one point growing up. It feels like there's been a loss, okay, a significant loss here in some way. Please take that as it resonates, but it feels like it inspires you in some way. It feels like you receive direct communication from this loved one if they've crossed over to the other side, and it inspires you to live better. So for example, let's say you have a parent who has crossed over and they have struggled with their health, and they have crossed because of that health issue. Even though, there's a lot of grief here, there's a loss, there's an ending, it may inspire you to eat better, or it may inspire you to quit smoking or quit drinking. It just feels like out of some sort of ending or grief or loss, there is inspiration, okay? Again, it feels like it's a bittersweet, or like it feels like there's a silver lining coming up here, but I do feel like you are revisiting maybe some memories of the past here, but there's a new door that is opening for you. You have the Five of Pentacles. For some of you, you've gone through debt, or you've gone through like poverty. You may have been homeless, or you may have lost everything here. You may have gone through like a divorce, or it feels like there were health issues, job issues, or there was a struggle here for you, and you were in that like perseverance mode with this Five of Pentacles. Maybe even had to file bankruptcy, or someone here maybe you had a serious illness that had left you financially depleted here. But it feels like there's a shift coming in that is actually bringing in a brand new opportunity, and it's been slow. Okay, Knight of Pentacles is here, but I feel like what's happening is you're coming out of this deep freeze. You know those winters, for those of you that may live in a climate that, has winter or snow, lots of it. And some of those winters, you just get buried and snow upon snow. And it feels like it's never ending, and it's bitter cold and it's harsh, and you just feel like you're locked up in your home. For some of you, that's how you felt energetically. Like, is this winter, is this season of my life ever going to end? Am I ever going to feel like I'm coming up to springtime or coming up to summertime? When are things going to warm up for me? When is that sun going to come out? And that's what I'm getting here is the sun. I feel like the sun is showing up for you in the latter half of 2025, where there are better times ahead. You're getting out in the sunshine more. You're enjoying yourself. You are playing. It feels like there's a fun, playful energy, maybe with your pets or your animals. There could even be companionship where you have a new bestie, or you're meeting someone new here, because it makes you happy and it brings joy to your heart after feeling like you've been stuck in that deep freeze, frozen tundra for what seems to be forever. And this Knight of Pentacles is asking you to explore, right? Put on that winter jacket. You have the shades. Yes, there are some snow-capped mountains ahead, but it feels like you are saying, okay, instead of feeling like I'm stuck in this house for the time being, why don't I get out some board games? Right? Why don't I write this book that I wanted to write? Why don't I use this inner reflective time to explore some of my passions or to light myself up in some new passions that I've never done before? So it feels like through this reflective period, instead of letting the outside get to you or letting that frozen energy get to you, you're bundling up here and you're choosing to explore some options that you have right within you. Does that make sense? So you are ready. And I feel like this Knight of Pentacles is saying you're dependable, you're hardworking, you're practical, you're down to earth here, and you're very resourceful, and you can be very disciplined when you want to be, Gemini. And Spirit is saying here, explore your curiosities, but take a calculated risk. A calculated risk, not a spontaneous one, a calculated one. Now you have some boundaries and you've dealt with some arrogant people, or pride has left you wounded in some way. Now you have the Nine of Wands and the Five of Swords. So resistance. It could be that you felt rejected or resisting some sort of ending, okay? Because it feels like you hit a brick wall with maybe someone who was very flashy, very ostentatious, possibly someone who had a high ego, inflated ego, maybe even a little bit arrogant. And I see here that there's some acceptance or some shifts within this energy because maybe someone has been humbled. Perhaps someone has gone through an experience that has left them humbled or left them kind of scratching their head with, wait a second, was this the best way to handle this? Or, how can I learn and grow from a situation, whether it's you or another person? But it does feel like there's some form of ending that is definitely bringing in slow but steady and trustworthy and honest change. And that's what you want. You would rather have something here that does feel honest, that feels authentic, and something you can trust, something that is aligned, because it feels like you've been doing a lot of the inner work, a lot of the spiritual work, a lot of the emotional work, a lot of the mental work. But here the Knight of Coins shows up, and this is the physical work. Like, okay, now that I've done those, those deeper reflective pieces internally, now I can apply it to my outer world. Now it's time for me to go explore. Now it's time for you to come out of, the cave, step outside, because sometimes we don't realize that while we were in that energy of that frozen tundra, that the season had shifted. And that's what I feel is like you are stepping outside now instead of 20 feet high drifts of snow blocking your door. You're walking out and you're starting to hear the birds. You're starting to see, new growth take place. You're starting to wake up. There's something here about waking up in the physical world, rejoining life again, feeling like more vitality, feeling more alive than maybe you felt for some time. All right. We have here, when it comes to finances, career, money, wealth, well, we have another shift card. So a lot of you, this shift is taking place in your money sector, financially, career-wise, abundant-wise. Some of you could be taking your career in a totally different direction or working for a totally different company, or you may be advancing or branching off in your own business here. The fact that she's holding a yellow bag tells me that this is solar plexus work. You may have even had some digestive issues, some upset stomach here, or you may have had a protective layer of maybe more weight in this area here. And I feel like a lot of you are stepping into your power. You're feeling more empowered to make choices that are aligned with your highest good, even if those choices are scary, even if those choices are difficult. And a lot of you are healing the gut, okay? The gut issues, if you've had them, maybe even mid or lower back issues as well. Have the courage to change course, continue to grow, change, and learn. And that you are, Gemini. You are growing. You are an air sign, which means you have the capacity to constantly evolve that story of yours. You can, yes, sit in old stories, but because you have the gift of being able to communicate, you can communicate with yourself, with your mind, with your emotions, right? All of those tools that we have, you put into good use. I feel like it's very important for you to be stimulated at all times in some way. It doesn't always have to be physical stimulation, but mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, there's some sort of stimulation that is showing up, not to keep you in a state of vigilance, right? Hypervigilance, but to actually help you calm the nervous system because it feels like you are growing. That's part of your story is you are here to grow. You are here to teach. You have that showing up, the teacher. So some of you have reached the end of a route where you cannot continue moving forward on the same path that you were on. That's that 10 of Swords. And I feel like the worst is behind you. It does feel like the worst is behind you in some way, or you've gone through enough to be able to take what you've learned, the experience that you've taken, and turn it into wisdom here. You have the Turtle as well, which can be like the Knight of Pentacles. Sometimes that Knight of Pentacles is the slowest, well, he is the slowest moving knight. So money's coming in, but maybe it's slowly. This is steady progress. Some of you are moving for work. This is long-term energies here. Perhaps you've been training or taking some sort of class or a certification to continue growing on your career path, but it's taken a while to maybe get that PhD or to get that job offer. So something that has been taking a while is going to show up here in your material world between now and the end of 2025. Now, the teacher says you have the ability to motivate others. Yes, you do. That's part of your gift. It's part of your gift. You can use your words. You can use your knowledge, your wisdom. You have the ability to motivate others to strive to uncover their true potential. Some of you may be homeschooling. All right, homeschooling, or you may be working with children in some way, especially with that 6 of Cups. This could also be a childhood dream that you're finally leaning into or you're seeing grow. Consider careers in teaching, coaching, mentorship, or being a motivational speaker. You're good at that. You can use your words. Some of you have a difficult time articulating sometimes how you feel or your words, but I feel like this is something that you are embracing more of, you're growing into, because it is part of your superpower. It really is. You've learned much about money in this life. It's time to put it into practice. That's the Knight of Pentacles, exploring, taking what you've learned and putting it out there in the world, opening that front door and saying, wait a second, life is right there. Life is awakening. And I didn't realize because I had been preparing for that storm, or I've been sitting within the walls. And I see here that you're taking down those walls. Some of you have had some boundaries that weren't just boundaries. They were brick walls where you couldn't necessarily enter or leave. And it feels like you've created some boundaries now that has a gate with a lock where you can unlock that and allow energies to enter and leave. So moving, some of you are moving, excuse me, shifting energies. There is a pull here. I'm getting Carolinas. So maybe some of you are being pulled to move, transfer, relocate, or you're from like South or North Carolina. And I also see that someone could be working for a company overseas, or you yourself could be expanding a reach where you are, your radius or your target market is like you're branching off in some way. You're expanding that radius. And you maybe contemplate taking new workshops or classes or courses if you haven't already. You have something to teach others, and that could be part of the shift, whether it is through coaching, mentorship, teaching, or speaking, or even writing. I feel like this is all part of your career. All right, let's look at love. What do we have here for love? Oh, woofda. For some of you, that Ten of Swords could be someone that you've connected with for quite some time. Maybe you've married young, okay? Or maybe you've been widowed here, or it feels like there were some childhood issues that have affected a relationship in some way, but there's someone here in your emotional circle at some point or another who has backstabbed or lied, or there's been heartbreak, there's been pain, separation, loss, deceptions, and maybe you felt attacked, right? Maybe you felt like someone completely came out of left field and put something on you, or like delivered some sort of news, or, it just feels like something was unfair. And it left a bit of a stain because the pomegranate there, well, for one, if you cut a pomegranate with a butter knife, which is what's on this card, it's going to be difficult. You'd rather have it be like a clean cut, but with the butter knife, it's going to take time. Like it's more jagged, and it really gets in there. It gets messy, and then it stains, right? Pomegranate stain. So it feels like something may have been messy. It wasn't like a clean cut, and it stained. It left an energetic imprint in some way. And I feel like that's what you are healing or recovering from. And for a lot of you, this is something back in childhood, or it could be between you and a child, or maybe there's been some conflict here, a divorce or something that had occurred, and there's been custody battles, or there's been something here, and you've dealt with this Five of Swords energy, someone who win at all costs, right? Win at all costs mentality, battle of the ego. And it feels like there's been a sense of unfairness. But a lot of you are closing out or have closed out that chapter. And for those of you that are single, you could be meeting someone new, or you're ready to open the door, dip your toes in the water here, get back out there. I also see some of you could be dating online here with that technology that came in. There could even be a date that is set up for you. And for others of you, there's an anniversary coming in. If you are partnered up, it could be like a big date, a significant date here for some of you. And maybe you and your partner have dealt with the loss of a loved one, a loss of a family member, or loss of a home, or something significant that you and a partner, did go through together here. But I feel like there's a new opportunity that is worth exploring here. You're not out of choices. That's what I'm hearing. Even if you feel like you're out of choices, or you feel like you have nowhere else to move, that's where this fated or destined event or opportunity, this is the hand of God coming through here saying, okay, yes, you have gone through some of these battles, but there is a significant date. I'm getting 14, 7-14, and then I'm also getting the 8-8 portal. And we actually roll into the energies of the 8-8 portal towards the end of July. So there could be something that does manifest for you in August as well. But it feels like the 14th is a significant time. So 7-14 could be a date. And then we have here blowing kisses. This reminds me of one of those movies when someone leaves a scene, and you know how it like blows up in the background, and someone's like slowly walking out of destruction, and it's like they're blowing a kiss, but it kind of looks pretty neat. It feels like you are walking away from that destruction unscathed in a way. Even though, yes, you have been through something here, it just feels like you're coming out of something that maybe you thought you weren't going to come out of, right? It feels like maybe a like chef's kiss, or bye, like sayonara, I'm leaving this in the dust, like this is no longer for me, blowing a kiss here. Now for others of you, because we have the words unconditional love showing up twice, and that's kind of rare. I don't see that too often, unconditional love, because we as humans, what do? We put conditions around love, around relationships, around, everything. And so the fact that you have unconditional love showing up here tells me that some of you could be in the presence of a baby, a child, it could be a pet, it could even be divine love here in some way, ancestral love, and really tapping into self-love. So that is showing up here in a very beautiful way, and you could be connecting and mirroring that energy with another individual for those of you that are wanting to connect to another. This is fairness and love and affection being returned. That's what you want, because some of you have been left out in the cold and you've learned from that. A lot of you maybe left the house at a young age. Perhaps you were like 16 or 17. You may have gotten married young, okay? You may have had to take care of siblings at a young age, or you had to grow up fast. For some of you, you didn't really have a childhood, is what I'm getting here. It also feels like someone may have like ran away from home is what I'm getting, or like runaway energy. And it feels like you've started to tell yourself a story that is better than maybe where you've come from. Okay, you're starting to rewire, reprogram your beliefs, your mind in some way. And I am going to tell you this. This is very specific. It's kind of deep here. So again, take it as it resonates. Someone who may have hurt you emotionally, physically, emotionally. There may have been some form of abuse. Okay. It feels like that person is either incarcerated, locked up, maybe they've crossed over, or they have dealt with a consequence for some sort of behavior. Whew, that's heavy, but it's showing up, so I have to give you that message. And it feels like it allows you in some way to heal or put something to rest. Okay. Someone, you're shedding tears. There's tears here, but they're actually watering here this new flower. So there's new growth coming from a situation that has been very challenging or difficult. And lastly here, you have divine self. The color orange is showing up here. That's the sacral chakra. Now, when this is in the upright position, it is balance, connection, intuition, and spirit. The fact that it came out in reverse, though, tells me that there's still some scattered energy. Something still feels a bit uneven. You may be a bit indecisive, and there could be ego. It says ego here, and you have the ego of the 5 of Swords. So I do feel like there's going to be a realignment that happens. That's why July is so significant. It is the heart of the year. It feels like you're realigning the heart energy, and it will affect other chakras, especially your solar plexus, which is yellow. And you can see that that beautiful divine energy is yellow. And we have the orange. So orange can be relationships. It can be passion. It can be pleasure. Perhaps you've had digestion or gut issues, or even sacral chakra, maybe hysterectomy, or some of you have had like maybe bladder issues, incontinence, or there's been sexuality energies that you've healed or worked with in some way. And I see that you are coming to a point in your life where it just feels like there's more support than maybe you've ever had, Gemini. And that is a beautiful thing. And then lastly, the archetype that is showing up for you is the destroyer. Wow. All right. The destroyer is the savage, the unexpected, the rejected. So that's the 5 of Pentacles here. The destroyer, the final of the 3 archetypes in the trio of existence, has necessary yet painful work to do in the world. Culturally, we have an aversion to endings, and we hang on to permanence as a signifier of success. Yet the destroyer pulls the rug out from underneath relationships, jobs, homes, and all forms of security. It's the part of us that wants things to end. Its painful orientation is to uncover our true purpose. The destroyer does not let us linger long in comforts, as it knows not much happens in that realm. With its piercing eyes, it seeks out stagnancy from a distance, and the rest becomes history. In the old myths, this is the moment when heads begin to roll. The ground opens up and castles crumble. Hold on for the ride. The destroyer has arrived. Ooh, I have massive goosebumps. And I heard collective energy, so this could be like a collective shakeup. There may even be something with the ground opening up. Okay, earthquake energy, earth shake. There's something here with water as well. So perhaps something with the water and an earthquake. I mean, take that as it resonates here. Well, it's not going to resonate till the end of the month potentially, but I do feel that there's things that are coming in to really bring us to our true purpose, to uncover certain things here. And yes, this may play out for you because you have the 10 of Swords. And I feel like you are continuing to lean into purpose. When this shows up as the light, it's swift and precise blows that redirect our life. And remember I talked about the pomegranate, the cut that feels jagged, right? It'd be so much better to cut that pomegranate with a clear, sharp knife, but it feels like the butter knife kind of gets in. And it can even be self-destruction. It can be negativity or unwillingness to rebuild. Consider Picasso's statement, every act of creation is first of all an act of destruction. So endings, bringing in new beginnings. In old tales, the destroyer sometimes appears as a black dog. Other times it takes the form of gods and goddesses such as Shiva, Kali, and Apophis. I've actually seen this as a young girl. I was very, very young, and I had seen this creature in mystic tales. I think it would be called like the hellhound. Okay. And yeah, it definitely comes in to shake things up. And at that time, I mean, my whole childhood was a shake up, but at that time I remember everything kind of shattered at that. So if you, at that time, if you see this destroyer, or if you feel like there's something that is being pulled out from underneath you, you are being asked to trust, okay? Because realignment is happening. Sometimes that painful orientation, as it says here, is true, is to uncover that true purpose. If you want to go deeper in this energy, check out Robert Rauschenberg's Erased de Kooning drawing. Okay, so this is a drawing. Some of you could also benefit from drawing or even journaling at this time. Get that writer energy out, or that teacher energy. You may be learning about these energies. Some of you could be learning about things that are taking place in the world, but you're not getting swallowed up. That could be a message here. Like don't build a brick wall to these things. But don't get swallowed up. That's where the boundaries come in. And I do feel for a lot of you, there's endings that, yes, have caused destruction in some way. But for a lot of you, it just feels like the second half of 2025 allows you to rebuild based on authenticity, based in truth, based in something that is part of your happiness, part of your vitality. So whatever is being taken from you or taken out of your life, it's actually meant to be a catalyst for you to rise, for you to level up in some way. So Gemini, that was pretty intense. That was pretty deep. Please take it as it resonates here for you and leave the rest. Check out your other rising or moon or Venus sign. Thank you again, Gemini. Please hit that thumbs up button, share, like, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you again. Lots of love.